Migos rapper Takeoff is dead at just 28 years old. Let's get into these details. My name is Jamahl C. I'm the principal attorney at Kersey Law, a boutique criminal defense firm in San Diego, California. And, in this video, we're going to be talking about Takeoff. I was just doing some research on the other video that I had uploaded today. And I was going on YouTube to just look at some details, and I happened to see Takeoff dead, and it just didn't resonate. I just really couldn't believe it. And sure enough, Takeoff is in fact dead. And Takeoff's real name was Kirshnik Khari Ball. That was actually the first time I've heard his real name, but he unfortunately lost his life earlier today in Houston. So the shooting took place around 2:30 in the morning on a balcony outside of a bowling alley / pool hall, and that's where Takeoff had been playing dice with Quavo, his uncle and former Migos group mate. And there had been a private party at this venue of around 40 to 50 people. Party ended around 1 a.m., but there's still people milling about around 2 a.m. and that's when things, kind of started to clear out. And the shooting actually took place as people were gathered outside. Now, there were security guards in the area where the shooting took place, but, they just weren't in any sort of position to be able to see who the shooter was. And police end up responding to the scene, and they found a large crowd. And, at some point they're able to get through the crowd and see that it was Takeoff. But they're saying that he suffered a gunshot wound either to the head or the neck, and he was unfortunately pronounced dead right at the scene. It's been reported that there was an argument that had broken out during a dice game. And if you've ever been present at a dice game, things can get heated. Words can get exchanged, especially you got money, getting thrown around, and sometimes it could be big money depending on if you got some high rollers around there. And apparently an argument broke out, and that's what led to this shooting. And unfortunately, there were two other people that were also injured, and they were driven to the hospital in private vehicles. So Takeoff, he started rapping with his cousin Offset and his uncle Quavo under the name Polo Club. And, that's a fun fact that I wasn't even aware of. I thought they started out as the Migos, but no, they started under the Polo Club. They were family. They grew up close to each other in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and they proudly represented the A in their music. And, in 2011, they became the Migos. And, in 2016 is when they really, really broke into the scene. And that's when they dropped Versace, 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 Versace. Drake jumping on the remix. That was the rocket ship. That was a rocket ship out of space. And there just was no turning back from there. Migos were unquestionably, just one of the most influential groups of their generation. They had their staple was that choppy triplet flow that became their characteristic signature sound. Takeoff had said that music offered them, an escape route from poverty. And how many times have we heard of music just being that ticket out? Our favorite rappers put in their lives, their struggle, their pain in music as part of the soundtrack of our lives. And this is why the first albums are just always so raw and powerful. There's just that natural hunger that, in later efforts is just impossible to duplicate. Migos absolutely made a worldwide name for themselves, but earlier this year, the group had split up after a disagreement with Offset. And so Takeoff and Quavo had pushed forward as a duo. They released an album only built for Infinity Links. It's obviously a spin-off of the name of Raekwon's album, The Purple Tape, only built for Cuban links. And Only Built for Infinity Links actually reached number 7 in the U.S. charts last month. And, I actually find some of myself in Takeoff as, I'm learning more about him, as folks close to him described him as a quiet, analytical person. And that's me to a T. It was actually reported in the Rolling Stone that there was a story about how Takeoff and one of his former managers and a group of them had gotten pulled over by the police, and Takeoff was only 14 years old at this time. And the police officer asked Takeoff what he does for a living, and he said, "I'm a rapper." And, at the time, that might be something that someone might laugh at, but that's a young man with vision. That's a young man who knew what his future was. And he went on to be one of the biggest names in music. And that's just something that you got to respect. This is just something that's not supposed to happen. 28 years old, it's a tragedy. He just had his whole life ahead of him. And who knows what his next moves were going to be. I just really hate that we're reporting on yet another death in the rap world. And, something's got to happen. Something's got to change. We've got to begin to see each other truly as brothers and sisters on this earth. We've got to value life instead of seeing it as just something that's throwaway, something that you could just, just like yesterday's trash, throw away life, just completely valueless. We've got to somehow see value in life, see value in ourselves, and see value in our fellow man. And so I just, offer my thoughts, my prayers, my condolences to Takeoff's family, his loved ones, his friends. I wish you peace and comfort in these difficult times. And for all of you, please just be safe out there. Cherish the little moments with the ones that you love, because you never know when it might be your last. We're going to close it out there. I just want to thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, I wish you peace.